Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 22, Survey Instrumentation. And we are continuing our topic, Questionnaire Construction. And the subtopic is Form of the Questions. It is important to determine whether the structured or unstructured questions are best suited for a given objective. We have stressed the importance of interspersing both types of question throughout the questionnaire to maintain the interest of the respondent and to complement each other in eliciting both closed and open-ended information. Even more detailed decisions are necessary should a structured question take the form a numerical scale, for instance rating sometime from 0 to 9 in terms of favorability, or a verbal scale high favorable, somewhat favorable, highly unfavorable, somewhat unfavorable. Now let us move to the next point, clarity. It is crucial to make sure that the respondents will be able to understand the meanings of each question. In other words, the researcher must phrase questions in terms the respondents will understand, but he must be careful not to seem patronizing to the respondents. It is often a difficult balance to achieve and is usually best gained throughout extensive pre-testing of alternative questions. Now the next point is cross-check questions. It is a good policy to include several different questions on one topic area to see if respondents answer them in the same way. Such questions allow for an appraisal of the validity of the questionnaire and of the accuracy of the respondents' self-reports. A special type of cross-check questions is the random probe. Each respondent is asked to explain what is meant by his or her responses to a few randomly selected questions. Different respondents are asked to do this for different structured questions. The procedure enables the researcher to eliminate from the analysis phase of research any structured questions which may respondents have misunderstood. The next is interviewer's control. The questionnaire should not only elicit information, it should also facilitate control of the quality of the interviewer's work. For instance, the questionnaire should explicitly instruct the interviewer what to do whenever a specific procedure might be in question. The instruction gave the respondent 2 or 3 minutes to think about the question may be necessary in certain cases, since some interviewers are more impatient than others. It is important to let the interviewers know through the questionnaire that his work will be fully evaluated after it is completed. Not only should there be a section at the end of the questionnaire for the interviewer's signature and the date of the interview, but this section should be headed with a statement like, "I certify that this is a complete and honest interview conducted in accordance with the instructions." This phrase implies the sort of commitment which helps motivate interviewers to their best effort. Another section on validation is sometimes even more persuasive. A portion of each interviewer's work should normally be validated by a number of research staff who either telephones or writes to the portion of the interviewer's response, usually about 15%, to make certain the interview has completed. Roughly how long it took, whether there were any irritants to the respondents, or whether the respondent confirms the answer to 2 or 3 questions. It is important to let the interviewers know that this type of validation will take place, and the questionnaire may end with a selection or section which has space for validators' comments and recommendations. Now the next point is pre-test. All the interviewing experience and wisdom in the world cannot replace the method of pre-test as a means of ensuring that all the above considerations are observed to the fullest possible extent. In a pre-test, the proposed question is actually administered to a very small sample of respondents, anywhere from 10 to 100, depending on the size of the eventual sample. It is a good idea for the researchers to conduct some of the interviews and for the people who will actually be administering the eventual interview to conduct others. Thus, the researcher can be mindful of the practical problems inherent in the questionnaire with the help of a pre-test. Sometimes several pre-tests are necessary, with the questionnaire being revised between the pre-tests. Now the next point is what to avoid in questionnaire construction. The following aspects should be avoided while preparing a questionnaire. First, avoid jargon, slang, and abbreviations. Jargon and technical terms such as alienation, anomy, Oedipus, complex, etc. are difficult to understand by the laypersons. Hence, they should be avoided in the questionnaire. Slang is a kind of jargon within a subculture. Members of other subcultures may not understand it. So slang such as hot dog, snowbird, etc. should also be avoided. Also avoid abbreviations. One should avoid slang, jargons and abbreviations unless a specialized population is being surveyed. The next point is avoid ambiguity, confusion and vagueness. Ambiguity and vagueness plague many researchers engaged in questionnaire construction. A researcher might make implicit assumptions without thinking of the respondents. For example, the question, "What is your income?" could you mean weekly, monthly or annually, family or personal, before taxes or after taxes, for the current year or the last year, from the salary or from all sources. The confusion causes a lot of inconsistency in how different respondents assign meaning to and answer the question. Another source of ambiguity is the use of definite words or response categories. For example, an answer to the question, "Do you jog regularly? Yes or no?" hinges on the meaning of the word regularly. Respondents may define the word regularly as every day or every week or monthly. To reduce confusion, it is better to be specific. Now the next point is avoid emotional language and prestige bias. Words like implicit, connotative, as well as explicit denotative meanings, likewise titles or positions in society, carry prestige or status. words with strong emotional connotations and stands on issues linked to people with a high social status. Can color how respondents hear and answer survey questions. Use neutral language. Avoid words with emotional baggage because respondents may reach to the emotionally laden words rather than to the issue. Also avoid prestige bias, associating a statement with a prestigious person or group. Respondents may answer on the basis of their feelings towards the person or group rather than addressing the issue. The next one is avoid double-barreled question. Make each question about one and only one topic. A double-barreled questions consist of two or more questions joined together. It makes a respondent's answer ambiguous. For example, if asked, "Are you provided accommodation and food in the hostel?" the respondent who gets only accommodation or the one who gets only food will have problems in answering. In this case, the respondents will also be not certain of the answer. The next one is avoid leading questions. Make respondents feel that all responses are legitimate. Do not let them become aware of an answer that the researcher wants. A leading or a loaded question is one that leads the respondent to choose one response over another by its wording. For example, the question, "You do not smoke, do you?" leads the respondents to state they do not smoke. Further loaded questions can be stated to get either negative or positive answers. The next one is avoid asking questions that are beyond respondents' capabilities. Asking something that only a few respondents know frustrates and produces poor quality responses among other respondents. The next is avoid false promises. Do not begin a question with a promise with which respondents may not agree and ask about choices regarding it. Respondents who disagree with the promise will be frustrated and not know how to answer. For example, the question, "The library is open too many hours. Do you want it to open 4 hours later or close 4 hours earlier each day?" leaves those who either support the premise or oppose both alternatives without a meaningful choice. The next is avoid asking about future intentions. Avoid asking people about what they might do under hypothetical circumstances. Responses are poor predictors of behavior. Questions such as these are a waste of time, as they are abstractions without any indication to the immediate experiences. Avoid double negatives. Double negatives in ordinary language are grammatically incorrect and confusing. For example, "I have not got no job" logically means that the respondent does have a job. The next one is avoid overlapping or unbalanced response categories. Make response categories or choices mutually exclusive, exhaustive, and balanced. Mutually exclusive means that the response categories do not overlap. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcasts.